So, next we want to look at escaping full Nelson, but before we can escape, we want to make sure it's correct and proper. So a lot of people put on the full Nelson like this, they're sniffing the back of his head, which is quite vulnerable for me, and then they come up and they have trouble reaching, even on a person that's smaller, and then they barely get it, they interlock their fingers, they go like that. And so what we have is a perfectly symmetrical lock, poorly acquired, barely putting pressure on anything. Most of the pressure in this lock are my two pinkies crushing against his head. If he looks up, I get a little bit tight. If he does the Hulk flex with the arms, oh, that breaks out. But that doesn't work against a good lock. So what I want to do is when I'm getting full Nelson, I should always start with a half Nelson. And to get a good half Nelson, you're not on the head. It's the opposite of an ape lock. I want to get the spine. Try to get in. I like to get the sternocleidomastoid, get the cable muscle on the side if I can. But at minimum, even if you're smaller, try to cross that spine. And if I'm having trouble, I have to put my head lower and reach. That's the first thing. So my second hit, one, I'm protected when I do this. Two, it's shielding me from the risk of that because my first flinch is here. And usually my head's going to be buried. Two, my second head tries to reach. If I couldn't reach, I could do an adapted Nelson here. A half Nelson and pull like that. And that still gives me pressure. I could get away. I'd rather have a C grip, which is asymmetrical and off the side of the spine. Now flex up this. It's much harder. I'm not squeezing my fingers. I'm just hooking and hanging out. Like I'm hanging on a pull-up bar. Like that. I'm just hanging out. There's not a lot of contraction in my fingers. And if I could, I would love to go palm to palm. Thumb in, no thumb. I thumb scissor. Some people do a gable grip. Some people do a preacher grip. I like the thumb scissor. It's just my preference, right? Broken thumbs, I don't know. I protect. The key is this. I want to be over the center of his spine. I'm asymmetrical. I want to be thinking of elongation, scooping into the lobe of the skull, right? Pushing the neck long, turtling it out, and then I want to curl his nose long away down into his sternum, like this. Out and down. And preferably, if I did that this way, symmetrically, versus this way, asymmetrical hurts a lot more because you're out of alignment. Yeah. Bench press with your neck out of alignment, you're more likely to hurt yourself. So in my case, when I go in, I'll hold like that. When I go palm to palm, I use my fist hook, my edge, to grind under the skull, elongate, right? And then nose is usually, I'm going to take nose to nipple. And that's a correct position. If I don't hurt his neck as quickly, and I'm going to hold you right there, and you experience below your tap threshold, you'll notice you have trouble breathing well, right? And if I didn't have pain and I just use palm, I can get a bit deeper, you'll get spotty after. You could choke somebody. So when you go to the pain threshold, if that person wasn't responding to your tap, you can also choke them by tongue and throat compression. Grinding his face in the ground, hold it. It's a very bad position. So that's what he wants to see. Asymmetrical acquisition. Get a half Nelson first because it's faster. That gives you some degree of protection, and you'll almost always by default have a better head position buried in here. If you couldn't get them together because you're too small, see that traction? Bow and arrow, bang, horrible, bam, very good. If you can put just the C grip, look, just get the minimal amount, and if I break out, you put a little bit more, but look, and that pressure's all going on my neck, elongation turned down, done, right? If you go palm to palm, much tighter, and done. If I was way tinier than you could go wrist braid, right? Which I'm not, but that's pretty close. That's it, make it fit, Play-Doh Fun Factory. And you switch every 20, 30 seconds because it's brutal on your neck. Then we'll do escapes. Let's go. If we don't understand what we're doing, then it's hard to do it well, right? So if people say, oh, I'm doing this because I'm trying to hold you, but I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm not trying to choke you, I'm not trying to crank you, then everything seems equally good. And then he gets away with it, right? There are some people that teach as an escape, slipping over to the side on purpose, right? You and I we used to be taught this, right? And the idea here is that if Ian just, for example, if you do a finger grip, do finger to finger like that, and he's gripping, if I'm here, but I go slip, now it's easier to break, yeah? But if Ian has a better grip, a correct grip, and he volunteers for this, I'm not going to get to the other one, and if I deepen this, it's not going to make things better, right? A lot of people will teach monkey pose, foot back, hands on the floor, right? Again, if you're finger locking together, and I butt hit you, and I palm to the ground, and I kick back or through, it's like magic, right? It's like magic. But if he's cranking me, and his goal is to elongate and get me here, and I do this fast, it's not getting better, yeah? So my first goal, if he's really got me cranked, do I want to, what do you think is going to be stronger? Just using the eyes and the neck to resist, or activate my neck and climb under with my hips? Yeah, so you want to use hips, right? That's number one, so force as hard as you can. So just my head, I'm gonna tear myself, right? If I just keep this down a little bit, eyes up, I take my hips out, it's gonna be better. If I was like much smaller, a kid, I'd hang out, right? And look at the pressure. Now he's carrying me, so at least he's not hurting me. If I need help cranking, I will push and do this. Usually hit him as I go back. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Simplest escape is usually the least pleasant, but this is what I do. Wide frame. Wide frame, however I want to do it. And then I step between me and him. I step behind him. He is going to try to move and adjust it. Right? In fact, we could do that as a drill to learn our footwork if we didn't like the fall. And then what I do is I see, what do I need to do to stop it? If I grip here, grip, cloth, whatever, or the second I go behind him and he goes to counter, I just go anyway. I take him down. Right? So even if he gets out, it's a bit sloppier, but you're still going to get out. But the goal in a perfect world is that I step wide so that instead of being inside his feet, I am outside 1 foot. And as I do that, almost at the same time, my hip turns. Because if I stay square, it's very hard, right? So as soon as I step a little bit outside his toe line, see the line of the mat? It's just a bit outside his toe line, and I'm here, I turn my hip to make that easier, right? I'm putting backwards pressure. Sometimes you'll see this taught as a lift and a slam, which is fine. I will usually just sit. If I sit square and push back, his head and shoulders hit hard. If I pistol, I find it easier to control because I can pistol comfortably without you. If I had the legs of a 82-year-old giraffe, I think that's old in giraffe, I'm not sure, then probably sitting down is my only choice. So watch, without Ian, that's really smooth for me. Without Ian, that's about as low as I can go. There's a little bump bump, and that bump bump gets amplified. So even if I do everything smoothly, good acquisition, Ian, and I go here. Because my leg cannot compress more than that, and I'm a little bit higher than Ian, look what happens to him carefully. Watch when I get here. You'll see there's a point where I'm falling, his feet can no longer touch the ground, and Ian becomes a teeter-totter around my leg. See that? And then he falls with all my weight on him. I can't make it lighter than that. So if he was a child, and I was doing this on a 60-pounder, that's a lot of weight. So if you can't pistol, don't drop on them. You're going to crush the ribs. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Cowboy, you guys? Ian, you get to do it now. JJ, you're going to crunch him. Oh, so, correct acquisition, good asymmetry. So first thing you want to do is see what it is to lift with your eyes versus tailbone under, and then help yourself with your hands. Oh my, I must faint. I do declare I am swooning. Widen your base and step around him. Stop him from following you, yeah, and then boom, nice. He's got nice flexible legs. He can do a nice little two-legged drop smoother than I can. Beautiful, yeah. Try a pistol now, same deal. Here, JJ, why don't we switch it? Because all right, he's like that, sir. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, merciful. Try pistol. Yeah, try. So that's okay, but try pistoling other side. Long leg back is going to be easier. Otherwise, it's not that it's not good. It's the exact same fall.
Yeah.
The inside leg stopping him, the fulcrum leg hasn't shortened. But if he pistols with the leg going behind, and in fact you do one motion once a couple, turn pistol, that's it. See, now you're much slower to the ground. So there's less boom boom. Simple. Try it out. See what that looks like.